And proudly, I can say I have. How? Because I didn't fit in, but I realized that I had the gift of the gab and I could communicate extremely well. I have buckets of emotional intelligence and I have buckets of common sense. And once I realized that neither of those were common features in everybody else's lives, that I could outstrip any academic. I don't mean as a doctor and I don't mean as an accountant where you have to have your degree, but in the retail world, I went off to be a nanny in America, had an absolutely brilliant time, came back and started, blagged my way into a graduate job at McDonald's. I don't think it would happen now because I just messed up the application form, so they didn't ask about my qualifications. Got myself into the interview, and of course I got the interview because I can talk. I flew through the McDonald's system. I became a UK marketing manager and operations manager. Had thousands of people working for me at one stage in my career. But before I took the marketing job, I was asked for that, which is a massive promotion. I was the first female operations manager. I was being asked to become the marketing manager. And I was asked by the vice president of McDonald's to take that job. And I turned the job down. I turned the job down because it gives me anxiety thinking about it now, because I can't proofread. How could I be head of marketing? And how would I see when everything was going to hit my desk for the final sign off to go across 1,200 stores in the UK? If I put a comma in the wrong place or an apostrophe in the wrong place or didn't see a spelling that was wrong, because I see what I want to see, not what's actually written. So I turned the job down, and because of the relationship I had with this vice president, he said, I'm not accepting a no. You need to, until you give me the real reason why it's a no, I can't accept it. And I burst into tears. I'd never told anybody in the company I was dyslexic. How and why did I get that far in my career? Because my husband was my proofreader. My best friends were my proofreaders. This is, computers were just coming in, but it wasn't fully in. I strategized around everything. And I would say to people as a training exercise, pretend I'm on holiday. You do the final cut on it, but I would have done all the work in between and I'd have somebody do the final bit. So nobody actually ever knew. When I told my vice president why I turned the job down, he, I think, virtually burst into tears because he said, my son's dyslexic and I never thought he'd hold down a proper job. So at that moment, I changed his perception of a future somebody with dyslexia. And he said, well, I want to be in your circle. If you can't get hold of anybody, then I'll do your proofreading. I was like, you don't really have the right time for that. And between us, we changed the job spec that I was never the final sign-off of anything that left the marketing office. It was a very simple solution, but I wasn't prepared to share that. I never told another soul after that day, and I went through my career. Then I get to my son. My son goes to school. I didn't know dyslexia and ADHD, which I believe, I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I do believe I have that too. Now I've seen my son, and his diagnosis is all hereditary. But I knew he had what I had. The school didn't believe me and they wouldn't help him. He was falling behind in school, but I wasn't going to let that happen. I'd been there. The school had failed me. And I, luckily, could afford to get him privately assessed, which I did. I found out he couldn't read off white paper. I found out he needed a blue light. I found out all these different things. He had a short-term memory issue. And I became a massive advocate, and the school told me they couldn't. I said, I do not want my son to have a handout separately to everybody else. I want the whole class to have the same handout. We can't afford that. I said, how much you pay for real white paper? Right, I will source you cream paper. So the whole school. So I moved the whole school to cream paper. So no child, not just in my son's class, in the whole school would never be against white paper. I changed that across about 6 schools in Liverpool at the time. I then became a massive advocate for dyslexia in primary school and helping and educating parents about what to look for in the signs. And I'm very verbal. However, I need to read instruction. I need to read instruction because I don't take complex verbal stuff into me. I am a really successful business person. Why? Because of my empathy. Because I love people. I love sharing. Something Sarah said before, which I've never really thought about before. It's great telling other people how they should do things, and they get an output from it. It's amazing. I've been a business coach for 13 years. I pre-COVID had 10 businesses across the UK with 120 staff, multi-million-pound turnover. I have my finger in many pots. I love working with people and businesses. And from that, I have established that it's okay to say I'm dyslexic. It's okay. It's okay. Nobody frowns upon me. But it took me to age 50 to say that publicly. So I've lived with that hidden fear of somebody finding out. Why? Because when I was younger, I was told I was a bit stupid, or you'll make a nice wife. So therefore, I didn't really fit the mold of a business person that people were going to trust. People are going to pay good money to get business coaching from if I had dyslexia. Actually, it's one of my superpowers now. It has made me who I am. Yeah, so I want to talk about, I read people really well. I can sit even on a screen on a Zoom and I can work out who is hiding an issue behind those eyes. And I practice NLP, which is neurolingual programming. I'm a master practitioner in that. So I have just gone to all my superpowers, which is all about people, reading people, spending time with people, talking to people, nurturing people. And that actually, if I wasn't dyslexic, I would never have had that superpower to do. And that's what I really do feel. If people that know me, I'm very process driven. So something has to be done. So before Scott said, you know, Andrea multitasks a lot. I can only multitask because my brain works like that way. And I can get bored and I will look for things to multitask with if they're not there. And if there isn't something in front of me to do, I will find things to be in front of me to do. Because one of my things is I don't really sit down. I don't particularly sit and watch TV, even though I have been watching box sets recently. That's a new thing for me. And that I now realize is potentially where the ADHD would come from, because my son has just been diagnosed with it. And I'm looking at all his traits and I go, oh, that's interesting. That's me. I'm not a completer finisher. That's not my bag. And that's a classic sign of ADHD and dyslexia as well. So what do? I surround people that can finish the task for me. So I just want to give people confidence that with a hidden disability, it's okay to share it now. I'm proud that in 2022, whilst not everybody, but a lot of people are more inclusive. But as are, I was going to give you a fabulous, I was going to call you Dr. Scott then for some reason, Scott. You know, he did a whole thing about awareness and inclusivity, and it's a big difference. So that is something that's really on my radar as well now. So I don't know what time I started because we went a bit pear-shaped at the beginning, but that's my story. Love to take any questions when it comes back around. And if you know anybody with dyslexia or ADHD that is in business and would like to talk to somebody that has gone down that road, I would happily take a call from somebody or a Zoom call. Back to you, Scott.